Tak, zkusíme poslední test techniky. Tisková mluvčí, mluví tisková mluvčí, poslední test techniky, test pro překladatele, mluví tisková mluvčí, test 1.
It's the test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it working?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Test.
Zkouška, test. Rakouský předseda vlády, test, zkouška.
Austrian Chancellor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear the test?
Maďarsko,
Hungary translation. Can you hear translation? It's the test of the equipment. Can you hear?
polský předseda vlády,
Polish Prime Minister 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
poslední zkouška.
The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
Taky mácí, no. No.
Mám říct, ať to všechno vymění, ať to vymění.
Ano. Ano. Je to fakt houpavý.
Hele, ty rozhodně. No, tak jsem psala třídní učitelce, ať má to že přijdu v 1, ale do 2 to stihnu, ale nevím. Tak jako oni se asi berou, že jo, po volbách teď taky. Je tady to, ale celkově
ber mi tam něco na trh, že já mám strašně jídlo. No co tam mají? Co je dobrý? Počkejte, co je dobrý?
Dobrý den, dámy a pánové, vítejte.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference after the summit of the prime ministers of the V4 countries and the Federal Chancellor of the Republic of Austria. Let me welcome the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, Mr. Andrej Babiš, then the Federal Chancellor of the Republic of Austria, Mr. Sebastian Kurz, the Prime Minister of Poland, Mr. Mateusz Morawiecki, and the Prime Minister of Hungary, Mr. Viktor Orbán, and the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Mr. Peter Pellegrini. Let me pass the floor first to the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, Andrej Babiš. Good morning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank first the colleagues from the V4 Group for the participation in the meeting today. And I also want to thank and congratulate the new Federal Chancellor of Austria, Sebastian Kurz, I would like to thank him for accepting our invitation. Of course, Austria is a key partner of the Czech Republic and the V4, and we're happy that the Chancellor decided to visit or to go on a foreign visit for the first time to the Czech Republic. I'm very happy to have Sebastian Kurz here with us here in the Czech Republic. I myself visited Austria on many occasions, so I'm very happy that we have Mr. Kurz here with us in these beautiful premises of the National Museum. The V4 countries and Austria have many in common. Of course, we share the same history, and I think that together in Europe we can do a lot. Today, of course, we discussed mainly Europe. We discussed how the new European Council, the new European Commission, how they could work. This is an important topic. And I repeat, in the Sibiu lobby, German Chancellor said that the new council should be the coalition council of Europe. I believe that the weight of the new council should be even greater than before. It's nothing against the Commission. We want to cooperate with the Commission. We want to help solving the different problems and issues of the EU. So we talked about this topic today. Of course, we talked about migration, and we confirmed and we shared the same opinion that the quotas are over already in the July of 2018 at 4 a.m. We convinced our colleagues that this is not the way forward, that the reform of the migration system must be based on the consensus of all the member countries. There is no overvoting possible, and we thought that the new Commission would come with a new proposal, but our position is still the same. We need a systemic solution. We have to fight against illegal migration. It's not the smugglers who will decide who will come to our countries, and we will decide who will live in our countries. Then we also talked about the multi-annual financial framework, of course, a very important topic. Austria is the net payer. We, the other countries, we receive funds. And we agreed that it is also important to speak about the expenses of the European administration. If the budget 2018 had 159 billion euros, and then 10 billion is the expenses of Parliament and all the different European structures, and the increase for the next framework is 23%, and the UK is leaving, which is 15% of the population. This is something that we have to take into account, and we see possibilities for making savings. We think that it is important to talk about the different items and posts in the budget. We discussed whether it is really important to allocate so much money to security if we are all members of NATO and we have the 2% commitment. And we also said that it is important to increase the capacities of Frontex, because we believe that we can also use our own capacities to deal with the issue. Then trade. President Trump signed the agreement with China yesterday. We believe that it is important that Europe finds a solution and a trade agreement. It went up. We have a new commissioner, Mr. Hogan, and we also want to be useful. We want to be there because we are concerned Of course, all the V4 countries and Austria as well, we are big manufacturers of car parts. We supply to Germany and to the rest of Europe. So trade is also very important for us all. We talked about EU enlargement. The EU needs to have a strategy for the Schengen space, for the enlargement to the Western Balkans. We have to fulfill our commitments we promised to North Macedonia, that we will launch the negotiation. Let us hope that it will start this year. We talked also about the foreign policy. Europe needs to be active. We cannot make only declarations. We have no impact on the Middle East, on Libya. So these are all important topics that we discussed this morning. And of course, we talked about the climate and the energy policy. The new Austrian government, of course, has a very ambitious policy in this area. Of course, we may not share the same opinion always, but it doesn't mean that we're not ready to search for common solutions. What is important is the competitiveness of the European industry, the internal market. There is a potential of 2% of the GDP, 235 billion euros. So it would be very good if the Parliament or the Commission speak not only about the climatic change, but also about these issues. And we also have to say how we shall motivate the other countries to reduce emissions, because some countries do not share the same attitudes with us. And not only Europe needs to reduce emissions. Of course, it is important we want to do it, but all the others have to join too. On my behalf, I would like to say that it was a very nice meeting, a very open discussion. We have known each other for a very long time, and I'm very happy that the Chancellor is back here with us, and we're looking forward to the future cooperation in the framework of the European Council. And once again, thank you very much that your first foreign visit is the visit to the Czech Republic. Thank you very much, and I pass the floor to the Federal Chancellor, Mr. Kurz. The floor is yours.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, zunächst möchte ich mich bei
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank Mr. Babiš for his invitation. I'm pleased that I was able to participate the V4 meeting here in Prague. Thank you very much for the useful debate we had. 30 years after the fall of the Iron Curtain, we live in united Europe, which is good. At the same time, there are some gaps and tensions within the EU. And it looks like there are certain gaps between Western and Eastern Europe. We want to fight that. For Austria, it is important to pursue good cooperation with the West and with the East. We want to live in a diversified Europe. We want to pull the rope, and V4 countries pursue a very good economic cooperation. The commercial balance, trade balance, amounts to 37 billion euro. V4 countries are the most important economic partner of Austria after Germany. Very many jobs depend on these economic cooperations. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to touch upon very many topics concerning the future of the European Union. We have talked about the importance of Maastricht criteria, about the rule of law, migration, and all of us agreed that we must protect the external border. We have to stop illegal migration to Europe. We also said that we have to maintain competitiveness of Europe, and we have to cooperate with the South. We have to protect the climate. There are topics where we do not arrive at a consensus, like the multi-annual financial framework. From our point of view, We are a net payer, so we have a different opinion. On the other hand, we can agree that the administration costs are high and should be reduced. Of course, we also talked about the EU fund that is to finance the departure from coal, and we believe that it is most appropriate to abandon coal and adopt more environment-friendly energy production principles. It is very important for Austria not to support nuclear energy, but the funds should be allocated on development of renewable energy sources. Thank you very much for the intriguing debate, and I have to say that I'm very happy that my V4 colleagues will debate with us the future of the EU, the competitiveness and the quality of life in Europe. Thank you very much for the invitation to these wonderful premises in wonderful city of Prague.
Let me pass the floor to the Polish Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki. First of all, I would like to thank Andrej for organizing this very useful meeting. The meeting in this format makes sense. I saw today that with the Federal Chancellor and with Austria, we have much more in common. We have many common objectives than we would believe at first sight. It's good to start with the things that are the most important for our people, which is the economic growth that determines the quality of life of our societies and of our citizens. The economic growth depends on the competitiveness of our economies, and that is why one of the topics we discussed, the competitiveness of Europe, the industrial policy, the trade, and so on, the relation to the international trade, is a key topic also for Poland, for Austria, for the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary, and also for our partners from Western Europe. We talked with one voice today that we need to increase the competitiveness of Europe, and this is a very important topic for us because the European Union should serve, should help increase the economic growth in order to improve the quality of life of our citizens. Concerning the global issues, we devoted quite a lot of time to the topic of international trade. Andrej has mentioned it already, but it's a very important topic indeed. We need to have competitive industries able to sell goods and services globally. We need to achieve that, good international treaties with the US, with China, and these treaties need to include areas such as taxes that are important for the budgets of countries such as the V4 countries or Austria, such as the digital tax, for instance. We're waiting with great impatience for the decision that should be taken by the European Commission. And we would like to see this tax as one of the sources of income of the European Union. Of course, it will depend on the agreement between or among the member countries of the EU. And we also talked about another very important topic, climatic neutrality. And here I can declare with great pleasure our partners understand that we start from different positions, which means that we have to take different measures because we are confronted with different challenges. I am jealous of my colleagues in Austria. They have a great energy mix. They generate a lot of energy thanks to water. But all that depends very much on the specific conditions of each country, both the climatic and geographic positions of each country. And our starting position, and it was also presented in the first draft of the allocations of the Just Transition Fund. Our partners in Europe simply understand that we sometimes have to take a more complicated route to achieve neutrality. Sometimes it takes longer and some of us need more means to achieve the objective. We also talked about migration. We said that it is most important to protect our borders against illegal immigration. We have to protect ourselves against destabilization. But we see this area as an area where we are ready to provide support to other countries, such as the countries in the south of Europe. We are ready to help with the protection of their borders. We, in Poland, we declare that we are ready to provide logistics assistance. For instance, we can provide our border guards, our police officers who can go there. We can also provide financial assistance. It has been presented already. I'll just repeat that Poland is one of the major payers to the special European fund or a special program of the European Investment Bank that is used to reduce illegal migration and to protect the borders of the EU. It is very important for us, and we are happy that we speak with one voice. And then at the end of this discussion on very difficult, complicated topics, we also discussed the issue of the budget, and we also made a step forward. I do not want to repeat what has been said already by the Prime Minister or the Federal Chancellor. I just want to say that we need to build railway lines and motorways in our countries, and there are, for instance, Austrian companies present who are the main beneficiaries, and this is not a secret. Companies such as Babiš are major beneficiaries of the money that we invest thanks to the cohesion fund. So it's cohesion funds that are intended for improving infrastructure in our countries. These funds help develop European companies. These companies come also and mainly from Western Europe. So we're looking for a common interest, and we have been successful today. And I'm very happy to be able to say that these 5 countries from Central Europe presented a very unified approach today. And now the floor is to Mr. Orbán, the Prime Minister of Hungary.
Hello, good afternoon. I would like to share with you how I perceived our today's meeting. First of all, I want to say that it was a very good and useful meeting. We were able to congratulate each other, and we've congratulated to Mr. Kurz, to the new government, and we had the opportunity to hear more about the plans of his government. We have just passed the European meeting. We have debated the European topics, including various foreign policy questions and budget. I would like to emphasize that Central Europe perceives this meeting as very important. V4 emphasizes that it doesn't want to be a closed club. We seek opportunities to cooperate with the other European countries. And I can confirm that Austria is a natural partner for not only Hungary, but all V4 countries. Austria is an important investor, market, and business partner to us. It is my pleasure to state that the Chancellor said that Austria will remain our important partner in security. We face migration problems. migrants who pass Hungary continue to Austria or Germany. So I am convinced that Austria will also foster and pursue external borders protection. I would like to thank the Chancellor. The Austrian police forces has helped us to protect our borders. What is the important output of this meeting? We have identified the areas of cooperation, migration, competitiveness, border protection, climate and enlargement. These are the most important topics, and I have also tabled a Hungarian proposal, and we propose that V4 President should present at a conference on future of Europe that Western Balkans countries should be invited, although they have not acceded the EU as well. However, they are concerned. Mr. Kurz, the Chancellor, also confirmed that we have identified the areas of cooperation, and I very much hope we will also cooperate in nuclear power.
Prime Minister of Slovakia, thank you very much. First, I would like to thank my friend Andrej Babiš for organizing this meeting and for this opportunity, because only a couple of days after the appointment, we were able to meet with the new Federal Chancellor of Austria. This meeting confirms the proximity between our countries, and also the discussions we have had confirmed this proximity, because we were able to find a common language on many of the topics, or all the topics today. I'm convinced that the format V4 Plus is a format that is very positively seen by others in the world, and it also allows the V4 countries to open the door, and it helps improve our interests. And we are happy that we can continue in this format also. I want to say how much I appreciate the unified position of all the five prime ministers on the issue of migration. I'm not going to talk about the quota because it has been covered already, but I want to mention a new moment that appeared that I identify fully with, and this is the fact that the EU should condition the provision of any international development aid to the countries that are sources of migration by saying that these countries that will not be willing to readmit illegal migrants from the EU member countries, these countries, these source countries, should see some sanctions that will result in a reduction or suspension of international development aid till the moment these countries comply with their obligations. Because we see in the EU countries tens of thousands of illegal migrants who, according to the valid legislation, should be returned back to the country of origin. But to do so, we need the cooperation of these countries, and we cannot impose these obligations by using treaties and agreements. We should resort to sanctions applicable to international or development aid. Now we will have a long discussion on the future of Europe. I'm talking about the conference on the future of Europe. I welcome the proposal of Prime Minister Orban that even the countries of the Western Balkans should be involved in these discussions, because they should see the perspective that is ahead of them in this community of countries. And we also have to speak a lot about the competitiveness of Europe for the future, because we have to be ready for the major structural changes that are ahead of us in order for us to be competitive and active actors in the global context. And I agree with what Mr. Babiš said, that our strong point is that we have the single market, we have a very strong industry basis, and we have a clear policy with clear rules. One of the major challenges for us is deregulation. We must not allow Europe to stop in the middle. Some more developed countries of the EU even say that we have so much regulation that we are not able to build a kilometer of highway in a short period of time. It takes years, and the citizens do not see the results because of the excessive regulation, and we are not able to compete with less developed countries that are much faster. In countries where there used to be desert, there are highways today, and these highways had been built in just a couple of years, and the Union is not able to do so. It is in the trap of its own regulation, and it means that we are not able to deliver results to our citizens. We are not able to build efficiently and quickly railway routes or highways, new roads. This is something that we have to try to solve, because we need to reduce administration and bureaucracy, because it hinders us from major development. Concerning nuclear energy, I appreciate the position of Austria, of course, and I recognize respect its position, but I also want to say that the member countries of the EU have the right to have their own energy mix, and it is the decision of each member country to decide in which way they want to generate electricity. And I want to say here, I want to say to the Chancellor and to the citizens of Austria that the building of the Mohovce power station is conducting, respecting all the rules and regulations and valid legislation, and it is also my obligation as the Prime Minister of Slovakia to make sure that the safety of Slovak citizens is not threatened. It means, of course, that there is no threat for citizens of Austria either. And Slovakia will continue building this source, because Slovakia wants to comply with its commitments. We want to be carbon neutral by 2050. Slovakia was the first country that adhered to this objective already in 2019, and nuclear energy plays a major role in this decision and in this effort. Once again, I want to thank for this very agreeable, very rich meeting. I'm looking forward that not only V4 countries but also Austria will be able at the next summit of the Council speak in one voice, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Now, thank you very much, and now time for questions. You can ask questions to the Prime Ministers. The first, Česká televize, Katarina Sedláčková.
Katarina Sedláčková, Czech TV. Prime Minister Babiš, I wonder, climate policy mentioned by Prime Minister Pellegrini. Are you happy with the European Commission proposal of carbon neutrality financing? Do you intend to use this funding to support nuclear energy? Have you clarified, have you come to terms with the Austrian Chancellor? Yes, well, yesterday the information published in the media concerned compensation for the coal mines regions. And of course, we have presented to the European Council our opinion, and thanks to us and Poland, we were able to pursue the transit fund for the countries that will be most severely impacted by the termination of coal mines, and in the frame of the ranking, as far as I know, the Czech Republic has received the first largest amount. Of course, we could have received even higher funding, but it is a result of our previous negotiations. So we would appreciate more money, of course, but nevertheless, 14.7 billion is a nice amount that will help our regions. Thank you. Mrs. Karin Kramal.
Guten Tag, eine Frage an den Herrn Chancellor.
Good afternoon. A question for the Federal Chancellor, Sebastian Kurz. We've heard that the Visegrad countries still bet on nuclear energy in order to achieve climatic objectives. The position of Austria is different. You said that EU funds should not be used for that. How do you want to bridge these gaps? Well, I think that it is normal that among neighbors or friends we may have sometimes the same opinions, sometimes we have different opinions. Hungary or Germany, let's say Germany is our friend and neighbor. In some areas we are united, in some areas we are not. And it's similar with other issues, and it is similar with the Visegrad Group. We, for instance, believe that it is necessary to fight against illegal migration and smugglers, but we may have a different opinion when it comes to the energy policy and the nuclear energy. I am in favor of a EU fund. It's a fund that was established by the President of the Commission that will help the countries with the nuclear, or will help the countries with the energy policy. It is especially important for the countries that still use coal. And I'm very proud of Austria, because Austria will be the first country to generate energy from coal. Concerning the objective, we may have a different position compared to the Visegrad Group, and we will want that the money is allocated to the coal exit, but this money must be used to promote renewable resources. And I think that it is normal situation that some countries have a different opinion, and I'm sure that in Brussels we will discuss it, and we will do everything to achieve our common objectives. I'm sure that the fund will be created, and I hope that it will not be used for the support of the nuclear energy, because it would not be the right decision in our opinion.
Hello. Prime Minister Morawiecki, I want to ask you about the Just Transition Fund. The Commission has adopted documents that shape it a few days ago. 25% should go to Poland. Are you happy with this result? Does it mean that until June, Poland will accept climate neutrality until 2050? Yes, of course. Always it is possible to want more. We will want to achieve the highest amount possible. However, the proposals are good. It is a big leap forward. It is a success. Hereby we express solidarity within the EU. Various countries have various energy mixes, and that applies to individual regions of these countries. It is a good starting point. It is a positive information that suggests that negotiations might be difficult. I'm talking about negotiations of December last year. The parties may arrive at consensus. Let me remind you that Poland has been slower than other countries, and it will achieve the climate neutrality, and to be able to do so, it must reduce the CO2 much faster than the other countries. We are dependent on particular sources of energy and particular energy mix. The negotiations with our partners are difficult. We try to understand the positions of our partners from Western Europe, and we are very glad that we can see the synergies between our opinions. We are coming closer, and it becomes obvious that the European Commission and our Western European partners understand and appreciate efforts of Poland. Hungarian TV.
Good afternoon. I have a question for Prime Minister Orbán. At the end of the year, you had a press conference where you said it would not be acceptable that cohesion funds be reduced. And my question is it a joint position among you all, or what are you going to try to negotiate at the meeting of the Council? Yes, it is a joint position, and we will present our position at the different meetings or summits, and we will see. But we definitely believe that if we want more Europe, we need more money, and new programs should not be conducted to the detriment of the agriculture and cohesion funds. We agree with the objective, and concerning the money allocated, we will still negotiate.
Dobrý deň, ja by som...
I have a question for the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Mr. Pellegrini.
Slovakia is the most ambitious country of V4 countries concerning the carbon neutrality. So to what regions would you like to invest the compensations and allocations from the EU? So can you please touch upon the detention of the General Prosecutor of Slovakia? Slovakia has adopted perhaps unpopular and painful decision until 2023 to stop mining in Nitra coal region, and we have promised to the population of this region to take care of them and to help the region to become a dynamic region. And Slovakia will also receive the funding from the transition fund amounting to 150-160 million euro. That's the plan. And in the new programming period, Slovakia will launch a new funding program for Nitra region. So we will allocate the money to the endangered region where there might be a loss of jobs. And I support what my colleagues said. It must be socially just transformation. It cannot deteriorate social situation in the individual countries and regions. And let me touch upon the detention of the former General Prosecutor of Slovakia. To me and to the Slovak citizens, it is a clear signal that the police president does not protect anybody. Slovakia is a country of rule of law, and Slovak prosecution and police will treat anybody fairly and justly, regardless of their functions and connections to the political figures. Thank you very much. This is the end to our press conference. I wish you a nice day.